We're now very excited to be joined by Maryland Baseball Network's Director of Broadcasting and resident expert on all things Dirty Terps, Matt Levine. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right, so as we've said, the Terps' 22-6 record has them at their best start in program history. So who on the team would you say have been playing the biggest roles in helping them get to that point?
I think this season it's really been top to bottom in all 9 players in the batting order, and the 3 starting pitchers on the weekend have been spectacular. They're up there for the best in the country. All 3 have been named top 100 in the nation as well. So when you have a guy like Luke Schliger leading off your batting order, and he's a machine at scoring runs, he's a machine at getting on base, and he's a catcher who steals 10 bags already, that's just an engine that they need. You pass it off to your 5th-year center fielder who's been the leadoff hitter the last 4 years. It's just a veteran lineup and also a young lineup, but the young players are starting to really take on that role and contribute every single game. So it's been really all 9 players that start games have been contributing, and I think that's leading into the success.
Now, we all know how well the starting pitchers on the weekend have been with Dean, Ramsey, and Savickle, but those midweek starters have been a bit inconsistent at times. So how much pressure is on guys like Ryan Van Buren and Logan Ott to step up in those midweek games?
I think there's a lot of pressure on those 2 guys, especially being that they're so young. Van Buren's a freshman, Logan Ott is a sophomore. Ott is a two-way player too, so last year as a freshman he pitched a little bit, played in the outfield a little bit. Now he's finding that role as a starter in the midweek games, so he's been successful, and so has Van Buren, but there's a lot of pressure for them to go maybe 4 innings every single time and then let the bullpen kind of finish it after that. But if they can't get to 4 innings, then your bullpen might be a little slim to go into the weekend. So there's definitely pressure for them to get to that point in the game where they can hand it off to the rest of the team to clean it up for them. But there's, I would say, more pressure on them that they're younger, especially as freshmen and sophomores.
All right, now through the same amount of games last season, Maryland was only 15-13, and that was a team that went to a regional and had Randy Bednar as well as Benjamin Cowles on it. So what has been the main difference for Maryland this season compared to last season that just has led to so much success?
And they had so much success last season, but I think this year you're starting to get a more traditional college baseball season. You have midweek games, you have non-conference games. Last year was only Big Ten games, and there was no Big Ten tournament. So there was only 3 teams in the conference that made a regional. There should have been more, but there was only 3. And I think now we're starting to see that you can get your feet wet with those non-conference games, a little bit of weaker competition. Now you go into Big Ten play, you can run through that schedule as well. But it's more of an execution thing as a whole. Just when they have guys on base in scoring position, they tend to score. Last year, maybe there were times where they lost games because they didn't execute properly. And the pitching has just gotten so much better. They were good last year. Jason Savickle was an All-Big Ten freshman last year, but now he might be on pace to be an All-American at this point. So there's just a big jump that a lot of players have made.
Now, Nick LaRusso has been a pleasant surprise for Rob Vaughn and the rest of the coaching staff this season, doing it in really all phases of the game. So how has his impact as a dual-threat player impacted this team?
It's an incredible impact. I think he might have the biggest impact this season for a team that has had so much success. You can break it down any way you want, but to have a guy who can bat third, play third base, and pitch, and he's a transfer, it's just a massive addition for Rob Vaughn's group that maybe we didn't really know who was going to play third because Tommy Gardner decided not to use his extra year of eligibility. He's now the director of player development for the team. So when you have a guy that comes in, a new player, you don't really know what to expect. He struggled on the mound at Villanova, but now he's starting to find his role here as a starting third baseman, bats third, one of the best hitters on the team. He's leading the team in hits right now with 40 through 28 games, and he can pitch. There's not many guys in the country that can do both of those things well, and he does those things well in the same game sometimes. So it's just a massive addition.
Yeah, and it was announced by Baseball America that Maryland is projected to win the Big Ten and host an NCAA regional, something that's never been done in program history. So based on how they've been playing and their strength of schedule ahead, how likely do you think that is to happen for this squad, and what do you think they need to do to get there?
They're going to have to play the same exact way that they're playing right now to get there. But when you're 22-6 and 2-1 in the Big Ten, you're the team that has the target on their back, really, to go into Big Ten play. They were picked 4th by the coaches in the preseason. I'm sure if there was an updated poll now, that would change, and I would assume that they'd be number 1. But going into this, Rob Vaughn talked about this a couple of days ago as well, that usually, and when he was a player too at Kansas State, being a coach here at Maryland, it's usually been him trying to chase those teams that have the target on their back, and now Maryland's the team with the target. So he's going to try to coach this team in a way that they won't give up their lead in the standings. They won't fall to the teams that they should beat. And that's going to be the thing. They just have to execute down the stretch. I think they can definitely win the conference. They could win the Big Ten tournament too this year. And as far as hosting a regional goes, that would be a massive step for this program. They talk a lot about wanting to do things that have never been done before here. That's never been done before. So if they can do that, maybe win a regional, go to a super regional, there's just different strides that they're going to try to make this year with Rob Vaughn in his 5th season.
Well, Matt, that's all we got for you today. Thank you for coming on with us, and we look forward to seeing the rest of your coverage this season.
Appreciate you guys for having me. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
You can keep up with all of Matt's coverage on Twitter and tune into his broadcast at MarylandBaseballNetwork.com.